Thank you, Patrick. It's a great, great honor to be here today. I just want to congratulate the CSDI, the amazing work that you've done on behalf of freedom and on behalf of Iran. I also think it's true absurdity. I want to talk to you today about why a secular democratic Iran with women in the vanguard is so important, not just for you and for Iran, but for the Middle East, for the United States, and for the world. As Patrick said earlier, the Middle East is aflame today. That's not hyperbole, that's not an exaggeration, it is literally aflame. Egypt, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Iran is the most important stage for this conflict. As Iran goes, so goes the Middle East, and even North Africa, and even South Asia. Because Iran was first, because Iran's revolution is seen by jihadists as the consolidation of these two conflicts. First, it overthrew a tyrant, and second, it established a Muslim theocracy. So that's the model, and for that reason, for that very reason, democracy must prevail in Iran. The Iranian revolution is failed, it is flawed, it is unfinished. Iran today poses the greatest threat to the global order. The answer is the Iran opposition's 10-point platform for the future of Iran, laid out by Maryam Rajavi, a republic that's based on universal suffrage, on pluralism, on the separation of church and state, on complete gender equality, on human rights, on a market economy, on a modern legal system, and on a peaceful foreign policy that renounces and never wants to touch and is devoid of nuclear weapons. Now, I'll put this a slightly different way. Democracy is not merely elections. It is rights and the infrastructure, the rule of law. So after a phony election, Iran has a new president, considered by some a moderate, and previous speakers have made this point. But I do want to just reiterate that his background is as Khamenei's representative on the Supreme National Security Council. That's hardly moderate. Just 4 days ago, he reiterated his support in Tehran for the nuclear program. What can we do to help democracy and freedom be established in Iran? Not just the vote, but the strong institutional framework of human rights and the rule of law that Mrs. Rajavi has laid out. How do we help establish it? Well, let me just make these 3 points. The U.S., first of all, must stand forthrightly for democracy and freedom. Period. Second, the United States must recognize the essential role of the organized opposition. And this means securing the safety and security of the residents of Camp Liberty and those in Camp Ashraf. And third, the third very important point about what has to happen is that women are in the vanguard of change in the Middle East. There's no better example of that than the Iranian opposition itself. 50% of the National Council of Resistance in Iran are women. And that's only one example of the importance of women. The U.S., in fact, must be in the vanguard of supporting women's rights and women's leadership. What must happen is democratic change from within for Iran. In Iran, a country of 80 million people, with a great and rich civilization, with a strong affinity for Americans, there is not the slightest doubt about how the Iranian people would vote in a free and fair election. They would vote with freedom, they would vote for freedom of speech, for human rights, and for the rule of law. We must give them that chance so that a democratic Iran can be a model, not just for the people in this room, but for the Middle East and for the rest of the world. Thank you very much.